Hello? Can you be, please quiet? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals for tonight's meeting, Wednesday, March 27, 2019, and it's 6:30 p.m., and we are at the Multi-Service Center, room 320, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'll make a roll call. My far right, Veronica Debonese. To my right, our clerk, Jim Akabachi. My far left, Jake Morrison, Attorney Jen Kendrick, and Town Planner Ken Buckland, myself, Nazir Al-Khalasi, the chairman. We just have quick business to do. We'll take 2 minutes of your time. Just give us a minute.
The minutes, I've already read them online.
All right.
You're fine.
Where's the file?
I'm looking for it.
The minutes. Right here? All right, here, Jimmy. There you go. All right.
Move to accept as presented.
All right, we get the minutes for March 13. We have a motion by Jim to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain. 500. We're gonna go to 1-18, J. Donegan, Wareham. All right, that was last time. We all agreed that's a minor modification. Gentleman here, I guess he came back with what we're asking for. Your name for the records, please.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Zach Richards. I'm with Bowler Engineering.
Yeah.
As the chairman said, I was here at the last hearing to hopefully finalize the Wareham Marketplace project here at 2419 Cranberry Highway. The board voted at the last hearing to approve this as a minor modification. However, there were some comments by the board and town engineer relative to the striping and landscaping shown on the plan, so I'm here to review what we resubmitted for the site plan and landscaping. What you're looking at here is the site plan. The request was for the rear pavement area here, which is going to act as loading and trash pickup, that we stripe that to delineate the driving lane here from that loading and trash maintenance area there. So we've done so as shown. The other request was to provide a little additional landscaping along Toby Road here.
Yeah.
So what we had provided was an expanded planting bed opposite of this row of parking spaces here. We added a tree and some landscaping in this island and added what we could also behind building B here that's already constructed. And we did, there's a little bit of a challenge in that area because it's a main utility corridor, so we have a lot of utilities running through there. But we did what we could up along the street level. There's actually a low spot here, so we should see pretty good presence of landscaping up.
All right, Veronica.
I don't have any questions.
Jimmy?
Jake, no questions.
Jen?
No questions.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wants to comment in favor again? No, these are the updated plans. So, these are the plans?
So it's sheet 4 and then
Shows 4 shows the footprint of the building, 9 shows the landscaping.
we're starting on the rear.
Shows 4 shows the footprint of the building, 9 shows the landscaping.
We're starting on the rear.
So they got-
You guys welcome to look.
I can see it pretty good from here.
The curb, how wide is the pavement? I know it's 68 feet to the building, but how wide is the paving? Do you have a scale you could do it?
Are you looking for the drive aisle width here,
No, in the front, coming in.
or coming in here?
Nope.
Main entrance, right there. How wide is it?
That's
between
30 feet.
30 feet?
Yeah.
From curb to curb.
From curb to curb, yep. And that allows this, the
Yep.
fire lane striping along the storefront.
So we're at 9. Because of the underground. But this is where he said it's a little challenged, because of the underground.
All right, looks good to me. You know when you guys starting with Wendy's?
Sorry, say that again?
You know when you're starting with Wendy's?
Oh, we're hoping for this spring, so hopefully next month.
Just let the developer know, we won't be interested in, personally, not to give an extension, so he gotta get going,
Yep.
all right?
Okay. Noted, thank you.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, what's the wishes? Aye?
Does this need a signed approval, or is
Yeah.
this just a verbal? What do we do?
No, there's a decision that has to be made and filed, because it's a modification of the special permit.
Okay. A move to accept modification as presented and amended per plan was by, for J. Donegan Company, by Bowler Engineering, stamped by M.D. Smith on
3619.
3/6/19.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Standard conditions apply.
Any discussion? Here none, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Thank you, 500.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you all, appreciate it. Thank you.
How'd they make out with that lease? Is it still in progress, or is it?
Yeah, it's still in progress, but really close, so I think
Yeah.
we're pretty much there. Thanks again, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move to public hearings, 8-19 L'Oreal Land Trust, 11 Murphy Street. Jim will take over. I have a conflict in this. Jim will take over.
Murphy Street. And let me get this other one signed before I get this read in. Do you mind? Thank you. And this is going out of the folder, so we don't cross roads. Give me a minute. You don't need to rush. I'm gonna start reading. Zoning, this is still to hold public hearing on March 27th, 2009. Give me a minute. You don't need to rush. I'm gonna start reading. Zoning Board of Appeals to hold public hearing on March 27th, 2019, at 6:30 PM in Room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to consider petition number 8-19 for a special permit from the requirements of Article 6, Table 613, Article 14, Section 1460 of the Wareham zoning bylaws, to L'Oreal Land Trust, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, seeking to construct a new single-family dwelling on a site that already has a primary residence located at 11 Murphy Street, Wareham, Mass. Assessors map 50B1, Lot 70, also known as lots 27-31, or is it 27 through 31, 35 through 40, in the R30 zoning district. So, go ahead, tell us what you're up to.
I'm Andrea McKnight from the Law Office of Andrea L. McKnight.
Brian Grady with GAF Engineering.
And what do we got here? You got a house already on the property?
Correct.
There's a permit been issued.
A permit has been issued, there's no building on it.
No physical building, a permit has been issued.
Permit has been issued, and you need a special permit to do what?
Permit to use and purposes, we are permitted,
So, two residents, one need.
correct. We're looking for a permit to use separate principal residences on the lot.
So, two residents, one need,
Correct.
one parcel.
Yes.
Correct.
It'd be like a two-family, but
Yes, a two-family is allowed,
Common wall.
Correct.
right, a two-family is allowed in the zone.
It's written they can never be sold separately and, yes.
But under section 13, it allows the permit, it'll be utilized in that the building two-family street.
Find out.
Right,
Okay.
right. But under section 13, it allows the permit process for this board to make a determination that the building two-family street separated and come to principal residential dwellings on the property. Two-families are,
If
special,
I understand the zoning right, this is a by right thing, but it requires a special permit. Is that about right? Am I?
two-families are, special permit allows you to separate the structure.
Okay. I'm going to turn to the board. Any questions from the board, starting with Veronica?
Do you have any issues with setbacks?
We conform with all the dimensional requirements, lot frontage area, setbacks.
That's it for the moment.
Down the other end, Jake.
I don't have anything at this time.
So, I'm reading the answer from the building department. So Article 14, Section 1460, special permit states, "The Board of Appeals shall have the authority to hear and decide applications for all changes, alterations, or extensions of a non-conforming structure or use that requires a special permit." The only thing I see here is, out of that whole thing, is that we need a special permit.
Correct, and the standards for a special permit apply,
The Article 6, Table 613, one principal residential building per lot. That's where you need our relief, is that?
correct.
Okay. So Article 6, Table 16 says, in all districts, not more than one principal residential building with accessory structures having a residential use allowed in the respective district shall be erected, placed, or converted on any lot except where multiple family dwellings, apartments, and condominiums are allowed by special permit. The special permit may provide for more than one principal building. So you just need us to say, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have another question.
Yep.
What about the utilities like sewer and water? Are those town, or do you even need to?
No, the dwellings will be served by municipal sewer and water.
So there'll be two sewer bills, there'll be two water bills, just like any multifamily, two water bills, two sewer bills, two electric bills, two gas bills if they have gas,
Correct.
two cable TV bills.
Right, single-family residential dwellings are in keeping with the neighborhood.
Okay. If you condex it, they'll actually get taxed individually. If you're multifamily, it'll be. Jake, any questions on this? Jan?
I do not have any questions.
Bob, you got a comment? Oh, his mic's not on. Mike, is your mic on down there, Jake?
Sorry.
Now you can say it again, no comment.
No comment.
See? Bob's happy. Okay. I don't see any problem with this at all. I get it, you have to come here, you have to, the Board of Appeals has to grant the special permit. At this point, I'll turn to the audience. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody here that wishes to speak against this application? Hearing none from either.
I have a question. I'm just confused.
Then come up here and state your name.
I'm a neighbor, Tony
You
Petrucci.
can stop talking until you get up to the microphone, sir.
I need a microphone. I'm just a little confused.
First, I need to know your name.
Tony Petrucci.
Mr. Confused, would you please step over to the microphone?
Oh, man.
They're particular. Everything's on television, so they have to have everything out loud.
My name's Tony Petrucci. I have a property at 30 Bond Street, right around the corner.
Yeah?
I was down there and there's 2 lots cleared already.
Yeah?
So is there gonna be a single driveway? I don't know, I just come down a,
I don't know.
There are, if I can answer on the
Yeah,
question,
sure, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, there are 2 lots cleared. One lot will have one single-family dwelling on it, and then there is this lot, which will have the two dwellings on it. Each will be served by their own utilities, by their own driveway.
That's why. That was my question. I mean, I just hope when it's all done, it's gonna have nice landscaping by, that I look at and all that, and
Absolutely.
good. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming by.
That was an easy question, thank you.
This is it?
Right.
Is there anybody else here other than Mr. Confused? How about befuddled and bewildered? No? Nobody else, okay. I don't think we need to waste a lot of time on this. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Seconded by Veronica?
Yep, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now I'm looking for a motion to approve. I'm looking for a motion.
I would make the motion, a motion to approve the plan as submitted for the reasons stated in the applicant's correspondence submitted to the board.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry it took us so long.
I'll remember
That was the
that.
quickest one we've ever done.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Yep. You got a draft decision somewhere, or?
No, just standard.
Okay, okay, standard, I thought,
All right, now, 9-19 from Canis, 59 Main Street. Just give us a minute. Let us finish this one, we'll get to.
I need to open up the second folder, because we cross-file it, and then it's gonna hell for somebody. Okay. Thank you. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let you take it all, that way I can start reading on this other one, and they won't get crossed. Nazir, you gonna sign that as chair, or?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
He recused himself, though.
He recused, but he's still the
We have
chair.
4 votes. It's
Okay,
fine.
We good, we don't need it?
You're fine.
without a chairman, just sign both.
If you want, you can go home now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pass these out before I start reading.
Don't lose that pen,
There's,
Jim.
I think, one for you.
It's a nice hotel.
This is Verilife, huh? Would you mind giving, do you mind? Oh, half size is even better, thank you.
leave
That's for
those
the
here.
folder?
You're not presenting the case, are you? Okay.
Would you mind taking one and, here's another one for Ken. I gave you one, right? And he's gonna give us some half size, so we don't have to handle them big, huge
So,
bunch of papers. Thank you. And notice of public hearing. The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on March 27th at March 27, 2019, at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to consider petition number 9-19 for a special permit / site plan review from the requirements of Article 7, Section 730, Article 9, Section 910, Article 15, Section 1520 of the Wareham zoning bylaws to Pharmacanis, Mass. Inc., 112 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, seeking to construct and utilize a parking lot for overflow business parking located at 59 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. Assessors map 47, lot 1124, in the Wareham Village 1 zoning district.
All right, name and address for the records for everyone, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Stormo. I'm the Executive Director of Pharmacanis, Massachusetts, 112 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Sir.
Christian Straub, Laz Parking, 3 Copley Place, Boston, Massachusetts, 02116.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering, engineer for the applicant.
Okay. You own the land across the street?
No, I'm
You with the Very Life? What's the name? Very Life?
I'm our parking and.
He's works for a company that provides
Oh,
parking services.
you do? Oh, okay.
Christian they do our parking and shuttling currently, and will
Okay.
continue.
All right, you want to start, ma'am?
Sure. So thanks for having us today. We're proposing a temporary parking lot at 59 Main Street. We just about have a lease worked out to utilize this land for up to 24 months as a parking lot for Verilife, which is a marijuana dispensary at 112 Main Street. We're proposing 60 parking spots and plan to use the land, while the owner works on developing it for whatever else he has in store for it.
If I may.
Yeah.
So, just for my own and anybody else's clarification, this is formerly the property that had the crane and all the locks and all that. They've recently torn all the buildings down, and there are long-term plans for that site,
Correct.
but you're gonna lease it for 2 years in the interim.
Yes.
And you have a lease for 24 months, so that he plans on spending 24 months in the planning stages. Okay.
And developing, he can do development from the water while we're utilizing the land as well.
Okay, so, and as a result, you won't need shuttle buses, et cetera, people can walk.
We won't need shuttle buses. We'll be able to remove probably the signs that I know there've been some complaints about at the end of the street. And it'll be a much more smooth experience for our customers in and out of our store.
There's one up by the police department too, will that go as well?
We'll be able to remove everything once people drive by the store and can be easily directed into the parking lot.
All the people in the yellow jackets and all that stuff will be gone too? And
We'll retain our security on site and the police detail, but.
interesting. That's all my questions. Sorry to
Right,
jump in front of the chair, sorry about.
That's okay. Is this your lease, the non-binding term sheet?
That's our LOI, and we have one word in the lease that we're still going back and forth, but we should have it signed today or tomorrow.
Okay, but you're pretty much in agreement if that goes forward?
We are.
All right,
Where's
so
that? I
you
didn't see
propose to build the parking lot. Apparently, you're not gonna go full-blown according to site plan because it's only for 2 years. Now, you're coming back for a review in 1 year. Hopefully make a big difference. I personally would like to see another review after this for another year, a year from now, to see how the traffic going. Apparently you have a lot of traffic, which is good for you for business, but it's been a little inconvenient for people. When you guys used the waterways, there was a couple of accidents and stuff, and shuttling and stuff is not really feasible. But I think this is a good move, and we hope in a couple of years, in a year, you guys be looking somewhere else, or the town planner will help you locate different locations, because apparently the few parking lots you have, it's not good enough. I'm gonna turn it to the board, and then we go to the public. Veronica, you have a question?
Well, yes, my first question would be about the increased traffic in the area. How do you propose to regulate it? You're gonna have a lot of people coming in and out. That stop sign right there is at the end of, where Main Street continues on through there. Is there gonna be a police detail all the time that's directing traffic or stopping Main Street from moving?
I'm Bill Madden from GAF. I don't think there's going to be a detail officer at that intersection where Main Street intersects, South Main Street, let's call it, intersects Main Street. I think they'll have their security at the crosswalk to direct patrons from the parking facility onto the crosswalk, across the street, and onto the sidewalk on the same side of the street that Verilife is on. Right now, this parking lot is on the water side, it's on the Wareham River side, and Verilife is on the opposite side of the street. So what we would envision is, we're indicating a handicap crosswalk here, a painted crosswalk in the street. There's a registration table also proposed at the first entrance. We just show that there, just to let the board know that that's similar to the way they're handling things now. But this is where we think that the traffic control officer might be more appropriately located, is at that sidewalk to stop traffic, to let the pedestrians and the patrons of Verilife go into the store. As far as the intersection of South Main Street and Main Street, that intersection was redesigned about 5 years ago. It used to not intersect Main Street at a 90-degree angle as it does now. You know, that particular arrangement, the way it has there, you know, while it can be inconvenient at some points of time during the day, it's really much better suited to handle the traffic that's expected to go, you know, on Main Street, whether they're going to the marina, whether they're going down to Pinehurst. You know, there's, you know, quite a large population of people that go down there. In our 60 stall parking space doesn't seem to me that it's going to have a tremendous amount of impact on the traffic flow on that street.
Do we know how many cars have been coming in and out of the parking lots that are currently active for the site?
So I'll be honest with you, I don't know if people don't read signs, don't go on our website, but we still have a lot of traffic. A lot of cars come down to the store, stop in front of the store, and we have to, you know, our security guards have to tell them, you know, please turn around and go back to 8 Elm Street. So this would allow a better flow because they would be able to just continue to, you know, be shepherded by the store and into the lot. So we have, you know, unfortunately, like I've said, we still have quite a bit of cars that we have to turn around and go back to the lot. So this would eliminate that need. You know, they could just continue through and take a left into the lot.
Do we have
So
a
I
count
don't,
of the actual cars that are going to the lots when they eventually do get on to the shuttle? What, do we have record of how many vehicles?
Well, basically, we're currently in Tremont Nail, and that's a 75-space parking lot that we, as the day goes on, it turns over, but you're never anticipating, there's never more of a number of vehicles per hour that can be handled through the dispensary. So in a nutshell, the flow of cars coming in and out is basically in a steady enough stream where there's never too much of a backlog either way.
So there's no count?
That'd be the number.
I mean,
There's no
I mean, we can count, we generally count the cars coming in, but we, you know, more along the lines of it's people, and it's generally 60 to 70 people an hour, and that equates in cars to, you know, less than 70 cars. It usually equates to 45, 50 cars an hour.
So you currently have 15, I'm sorry, how many spaces do you have at Tremont right now?
There's 75 if we can, if we
75
needed it,
spaces?
yeah.
And this is going to have
60.
60?
The way this lot, I mean, mind you, Tremont is it's kind of a unique configuration, and the way we have the flow going in there, but it's also, that's a shuttle operation, whereas this is strictly, you're pulling people in to the parking. We're a professional parking company. We manage it in the way that you get people in safely, direct them into a parking spot. We get them out of their car quickly. They're directed across the street, in and out of the dispensary. It's meant to just to be a seamless process where there's, at no given time, anybody waiting for at one point. They're just, you know, like you would pull into just a normal supermarket or shopping plaza, and you'd pull in, you go into your one store, you spend 10, 15 minutes, you come out, you get in your car and you leave.
So that's the average time that somebody's spending inside the store, 10 to 15 minutes?
oh, at the most. I mean, we're in and out very quickly.
That's a turnaround. That's what we would envision, the turnaround. No more than 15 minutes tops out of the parking lot. I mean, we're turning people in 15 minutes, sometimes in the shuttle, you know, and that's going back to Tremont Nail. People, we see every day, people tend to, they're not spending any additional time. They're basically going in, like I said, equated to any supermarket, store, marketplace you go in. People go in, they have other things to do. They go in, they park, they get, and the fact that they have to do one more step with a shuttle, and we still keep it moving, very efficiently, that we feel that the parking across the street will even more streamline the operation.
All right, Jimmy.
I have no questions. I'm all set, but I do want to mention that before we close this seems to be a letter or two here that may need to be read into the record.
Okay, let's get more comments
Go
first.
ahead,
Jake?
Yeah.
I just have a couple comments. The last time we approved you guys, from my knowledge was you were supposed to have people going to your parking lot that had appointments, okay? And that was the last thing I remember was you should have appointments. You had a certain amount of parking spots at the facility, at your facility, but now it changed to a bunch of craziness. I don't personally think it would be a good idea to put this parking lot across the street. There's a little park right there, and I just don't like the idea. There's going to be. I used to live down Wareham Ave, and there's already enough cars and accidents at the end of the street, but that's just me.
So,
If I may, the permit was not approved with appointments. That was,
Well, that's what was stated. So maybe like I said, I remember the last time.
the medicine one was, I think, appointment. This one, the permit we granted them. was
Yeah,
not-
I don't even remember
Yeah,
approving
I
a.
remember very well.
Yeah,
It wasn't
okay.
appointment, just
Well,
retail.
Maybe I missed the whole retail part of it, but
Yeah, just to
I would have never even
clarify it,
approved
that's all.
retail.
I'm not saying it, just to clarify the point. Go ahead, Jen, sorry.
well, I guess I actually live down Pinehurst, so I'm in this area all the time. And I would have to say that since they've been in operation, it's had no noticeable impact whatsoever on my daily life. I think that it makes a lot of sense that you take the shuttle out of the equation. People are going to be parking, going in, getting in their car and leaving. You're going to have less of a need for more, there's less likelihood that you're going to have a buildup of cars. It's a 2-year period. So for those reasons, I would approve it.
Correct. I do agree with Jen. The place is there, so the permit is there, so this is the better scenario for a parking. But I do want to iterate on safety. I would like to see full-time police officer detail at all times you guys open,
And we already have that.
from
so-
open to close.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're from here and you go to your store, you know that you can perhaps just take a left out of that would-be new parking lot and continue on around and go down Church Ave and come back out. Is there any way perhaps would it be helpful to circulate to your clientele that, they can reroute out? Because that certainly would, I think, alleviate any concerns
To
about.
go to where?
So instead of going back out to the
Main Street,
Main
go up to
Street,
High Street?
or you could do that, or you could go down around and up Church Ave and back.
Well, actually, one of the entrances is almost across from Cedar Street.
I see,
So
okay.
Cedar Street, you could exit the parking lot,
Yeah.
go right up Cedar Street, take a right on High Street, and bring
Right.
us right to the intersection
So
of Route
just
6.
just
As an
inform me.
alternative.
I mean, I think there are ways to, think about and approach the legitimate concerns about buildup there.
I know, but we would rather not divert. I would rather not see the traffic going through the residential neighborhood or through the hospital on High Street or Pinehurst, just directly to Main Street or commercially.
I mean, as
Yes.
a resident of that area, I'd rather.
If they do on their own, they own, but I would rather not see a sign to direct it.
Oh, I
Then you-
wasn't proposing a sign.
Yeah.
I was just making a suggestion with respect to communication to customers. That's all.
So it's almost like a one-way, they would come,
Not necessarily forcing that, but just,
Suggesting?
Yeah, especially if you're sitting there and you're gonna have a parking lot attendant? You're sitting there and a person's leaving and happens to be a backup on Main Street, I'm just suggesting it as a thought of a way to approach perhaps alleviating any of our anticipated concerns.
To your point, I recall when Wareham Crossing was in the planning stages, there was a great bit of resistance and discussion locally about people using the back roads as a shortcut. They didn't want them to go down Main Street or to go over by the Deacon. So, I get where you're going.
Well, it just
But
adds,
I-
it's just informing people of another means of egress.
I think,
That's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I got it, I got it. You know, they could, I get what you're saying, if they passed out some kind of a map and showed them that they can get up and get around, they could go up, what is it, Cedar Street and down high and in front of the hospital.
I'm not even suggesting that we make
They
that
could go
any
up
type
War
of
Avenue.
requirement for anything or condition of anything, just as a matter of
It's there.
making a suggestion.
Yep.
All right. Bill, let me ask you something. I would like to see the entrances to be paved. Also, that catch basin, what's it connected to?
Which catch
That
basin?
existing catch
The
basin,
one in front of the driveway?
yeah.
It's connected to the municipal system in Main Street. Probably outlets right into the Wareham River.
All right, I see you grading here with the landscape, and you got 5.2, 5.6, and towards the road 7.9. Your catch basin is a 6.8. How are you gonna catch the water from 5.2 to 6.8?
We're not planning to catch any water in the parking lot at that catch basin. That catch basin's intended to receive the water from Main Street. All of our site drainages to sheet flow across the parking lot, headed toward the river and be intercepted by the infiltration trench that's shown at the east side of the parking lot. It runs continuous.
All right. Do you show hay bales and silt fence?
We show silt fence on the plan.
You're gonna need some hay bale with that. You went conservation yet?
Not yet, no.
Well, they'll take care of that, I'm sure. I don't think silt fence is enough. So you think that drainage, that stone will catch all that water? I know it's not like a paved parking lot, but you think it'll catch enough? Did you run the
It's 4 feet
numbers?
wide and 2.5 feet deep, so it has fairly good depth to it, has reasonably decent soils. The existing surface that's going to be put down on the road will be permeable to a degree.
Did you
So
run the numbers? Did you do perk test?
We didn't do a perk test. We know that it's Carver sand in the area from when we did the bulkhead next door. I did the bulkhead at Bessie Park, and we excavated into that site pretty substantially, and it's all sand in that area. But in any event, we know that we are going to dig some test pits just to justify the drainage when we go to for the drainage report, we're preparing for conservation.
All right, I'd like to see that, and I would like to see that the entrance and both entrances to be paved. The reason is, if it's raining and stuff, don't drag to Main Street mud and stone dust or whatever you're gonna put here, or gravel. So it'll be nice transition section, just the entrances. The R25, you couldn't do R30s? The entrance.
There's no need to do an R30, R25 is what's required by the fire department. We've talked to them about it, and provided we use 25-foot radiuses, they're satisfied with that. This is predominantly a passenger vehicle, small utility truck type of parking facility, no tractor trailers, box trucks, things of that nature, so that really does not seem the need to provide anything more than 25 feet on the radius.
All right, well, it's temporary anyway. So you are gonna be hiring police detail as long as you open, like every hour?
We have been working closely with the chief all along, and that we've been providing a detail both at the parking lot and at our site, so,
Yeah, is your own security, they armed?
no,
How come?
they don't need to be.
I think they should. I think they should.
Come by the store, I mean.
I know, but this is, just let me tell you what's I hope it'll never happen anywhere in the state of Massachusetts. This is like, it's gonna be like how OxyContin started in pharmacies. Before you know what, people going held up, and I know you guys do a lot of cash, so is every other dispensary. So I would hate to see the first problem in Wareham. It is, I mean, somebody just stole a store the other day, or a bank, $180, and I know you guys probably gross 70 to 80,000 a day sometimes. So I don't like, what I'm trying to say, if you show force and you show it makes somebody think twice of doing it. That's the reason I'm saying. Not that I agree with arms and guns and stuff, but it's very important to show force and show presence to make people think twice about it. That's all what I'm saying. That's why I insist to have a police officer all the time there. And like I said, I'll hate to see the first heist in Wareham, but I know for a fact one day it's gonna happen somewhere. I hope it'll never happen, but it's a lot of money. So I'm gonna go to the public and ask, who wants to speak in favor first? In favor of the project? All right, favor? Wanna come forward, sir? Just have a seat and name and address.
Good evening. My name is Ron Cronin, 72 Main Street, directly across the street from the proposed parking lot. And I am in favor and happy to see that the lot has been cleared out.
Yeah.
Over the past 11, 15 years, we've looked at, and the debris over there, the homeless living there, the kids. I like the idea that it's getting cleaned up and potential development. I do have some of the same concerns that you had, Mr. Chairman, and that is, if in the event of an armed robbery, if we have a shootout on Main Street, if there's, I didn't know there was $70,000 to $80,000 a day grossed, but it's imperative that armed police, and a minimum of 2, always be in the lot and at the facility itself. I did have a concern that the revenue from taxes will not offset the cost of police, fire, medical emergencies. Just looking at that, I also would ask, first and foremost, that I've been to your board office this morning and last week seeking some plans, and the public has not been provided any plans except for the application. And I, last week, asked if we could see what the board is seeing. I see that you have plans, and that was denied at 3:30 this afternoon. Nothing existed. So first and foremost, I would ask.
Excuse me 1 minute, 1 minute, just for a point of interest.
Yes.
I didn't see the plans at 3:30 this afternoon. Nobody on this board did. We saw them for the first time tonight.
Okay.
Just, nobody picked on you.
No. I'm not saying that they did. I'm just saying that
We do
the
agree
public.
with what you're saying.
It would have just been nice to see them, so that we would have, I had no clue what the layout is, and
Absolutely right.
I love the idea that it's getting improved. I mean, the whole downtown is improved, and let's do it right, and do it right the first time, not have any injuries, deaths. That's paramount safety. With safety in mind, was there a traffic study done? How many vehicles will be coming up and down there? It's been crazy at times, not all the time, but since the shop opened up. And I would like to know if, Miss, I didn't get your last name, just Michelle, stated that to be a 10 to 15 minutes in the parking lot. But then what's the purpose in how many porta potties and tents? To how, that was in the application that I saw this afternoon, that there's going to be porta potties, tents, and it's for the customers. So it implied to me that there'd be a long waiting period, and it's in the winter and all through the seasons. So there'd be kids down there like there had been last summer and every summer, or all these customers waiting. It seems that.
So I'm just wondering, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt, sir.
go ahead.
Just to clarify, I think that at the height of the operations, when they first started selling recreation, there was, an issue of needing to provide, number one, some shelter, and number two, a porta potty. I don't know let me just ask so we don't go off on a
Surely,
tangent.
by all means.
Are you anticipating people having to wait in the parking lot, this proposed parking lot, so long that you would need tents and porta-johns?
Not necessarily the customers, but I would want to provide some cover for my employees, even if it was just like a pop-up tent
Right.
from the sun. Sometimes when there's a registration, new customers have to get a profile made, which takes, a couple of minutes.
Yep.
So we had offered a tent with I don't know how big
Our tent,
Yeah.
20 by 20, but that one, you wouldn't even need something that big. You basically,
But my question is only this, are you having any tents or porta-johns in this proposed lot for the purpose of catering to people who are having to wait a long time?
Well, it's more catering. I mean, if someone's driving in and they need to get out of the car and they need to use the bathroom, I mean, I would probably want to provide a couple of porta potties.
Yeah.
For, especially if there's tourists driving in through Wareham.
Right.
That they maybe have been in the car for a long time. So it's more as a convenience than as that they're waiting for a long
I
time.
understand. Thank you.
Well, and thank you for that. In rebuttal to that, there is a porta potties next at Bessie Park, and it's unsightly in a parking lot, and it may encourage with a tent for kids in the summer coming up from Cape Cod, et cetera, to hang out in this parking lot if there's a tent.
Could you describe the nature of the tent, please?
20 by
I
20.
mean, no, that's down mind you, that's down at Tremont, and that was in the winter, we're just coming out of the winter. I would envision that we could even just, for sheer sake, a pop-up tent, and part of my daily operation with my staff is basically, we pop the tent up in the beginning in the morning, and at the end of the night, boom, just like when we end our operation down at Tremont, the shop's closed, we bring the last shuttle down, the shuttle waits, people get in their cars, boom, done, and then it's closed down. There's no, it's shut down, it's a town property, but at the same token, the police still patrol it, but we don't condone nor allow anybody to just, we don't even let people who get back off of the shuttle, they're politely asked to just get in your car and drive safely out of the parking lot. We don't allow people to
Loiter.
congregate, anything, just a couple people, if they're standing next to their cars talking, we just politely ask them, hey, just please, if we could just, keep it moving, that's fine. So,
Okay, thank you, sir. It's, and again, a couple of things I just heard tonight, maybe the sewer drain, the pitch is being pitched towards the river, and maybe it should be pitched the other way, just so we're not polluting the Wareham River. We've got issues there.
I mean, that, I would have to,
It wasn't a sewer drain he was talking about, that stormwater runoff.
Oh, okay.
That's why they doing that stone thing.
These are just some concerns I raised,
Right.
because I just did
You're
not
right.
get a
I had the
chance
same concern. You're
to
right.
see the plans. Another one is that on the river side, the boat side is, I don't know if anyone's thought of all the boat traffic that will be coming in, dropping people off to go buy some marijuana, either from the islands, from anywhere in there. And they'll be trying to dock where the old Nantucket was, because there is a dock, Mr. Baker has a landing there, and there's even a loading dock where you can launch your boat. It's unusable at the time. There's also concerns that Bessie Park will, the town dock will become overrun with boats and people waiting. Also, I'm just trying to think of things and not have to deal with them in a year or 6 months, from a shooting to robberies to fights. We've seen altercations. Well, I have anyways. I've had, and I'm right across the street, and as Michelle, again, I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name, but as Michelle said at this meeting,
you're across the street from where?
from the proposed parking lot.
Right, so you saw altercations between. I
Not
just
only
wanna be clear-
altercations.
I just want to be clear for the record.
Well, I don't know if there was an altercation out front, there was a car accident where a car came down and hit a telephone
I
pole.
just want to be clear, the altercation you're talking about is in this proposed site that they don't have control over right now, right?
No, this
That's
was
where you
on,
saw-
this was on Main Street at 74 Main. There was an altercation out front. We came out, and there were some kids there fighting, starting to and arguing and yelling. There was also a car that came down Main.
What address is 74 Main Street?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
What address is that your address, 74, who's 74?
It's next to our building,
That-
and
But-
72, 70
But my
Main.
point is, you're talking, I just want to be clear for the record, you're referring to an altercation that occurred somewhere else, not on their property.
That's correct.
Okay,
And
That's what we're talking, that's what we're,
as-
there's no reason for you
No,
to
no, no,
believe
and
those
I'm not-
people were even their
I'm
customers.
sorry, I don't
I
mean
just don't
to-
want to get off on too much
No,
of a
no, I'm
tangent.
just
I
saying-
understand and respect your general concerns about
What I'm
law
trying
and
to
order.
express is that since it opened, there's been a large influx of people. There's been a car accident right out front.
Of where?
In front of 72 Main, and I ran over.
And what's their
and-
address?
50,
59.
59.
I'm just saying this for clarity of the record, because I don't want it to be misled. But I live in the area too, sir.
Sure.
And so I,
Well, I'm just saying that the pole that he hit, it was at 50 Main. And I don't know if it was related to that, it caught fire, that was 3 weeks ago.
I guess what I'm saying
Another
is your
vehicle-
concerns are, not, you don't know that any of your concerns
No,
are
no, no,
related.
one of them is, this last one
Yeah, thank
is,
you.
as Michelle said, that they were being told to not be able to pull into the business's parking lot, and they were told to leave, and the people who drive down Main Street, they were turning around enough times in our driveway that we signed it. The hospital next door put up concrete blocks. British Landing has a sign, tenants only. One of the customers drove up our driveway, hit our barn, rear barn steps, and dragged a large chunk of concrete, which got jammed up under her car. We had to get a tow truck. There was a police report filed. Lieutenant, is it Carrera, was there a couple of times on it. And we've addressed the issues the best we can as residents. And we would just like to try to ensure that at this meeting, that you, as the board, really try to think of the foresight to not allow problems to exist. For instance, boaters coming in and heavy traffic, or people congregating and lingering.
What makes you think that boats will come in? Did you see, for example, an influx of boat coming in to go have margaritas at El Mariachi?
No, yes, and at the Narrows, every summer, a lot of boats come in, and even, people have said that to me. There's another gentleman who was down looking at the parking lot to see if he could set up his hot dog stand, thinking people would be there, looking for customers. And, you know, it's a very possible outcome of.
In encouraging the development of downtown Wareham, that would be a concern for any business.
I agree. I'm just saying that there will be people trying to climb up off of, if they pull up in a boat and they don't use the town marina, if it's full, they'll try to exit onto the property. It's just an idea that things may, just in closing, I do ask, it's a great idea that they're developing it. It's been a long time in the coming. It's going to take 2 years before the plans start, but that there are police, and that they are assigned detail because they are, one, armed, they have law enforcement capabilities to deal with traffic. If there is an issue with any kind of congregation in the parking lot, to not allow porta potties in the parking lot. To park in a parking lot, you do not have to use the bathroom.
She does have a good point, though. I mean, if you have, do you have people, I mean, coming from long distances, you have employees of the parking service working there. And do you have the facilities to provide restroom service to your customers, or no?
We have one porta potty outside in the back of
Not
the
interior,
store.
not inside.
And 2 inside.
You do have 2 inside.
So why not put them up there in the back of their building, not have us look at them all the time? And not encourage any congregation in the parking lot. Let them park their vehicles and walk up the street. That's all I'm saying. And to have armed police. And I would almost ask that you table this for 2 weeks and let the public really get a good review of the plans and things that weren't available to us even at this moment.
Yeah, this is typically the way it works for us
Okay.
even. We don't know anything about a plan till it's put down in front of us when the applicant
I'm a novice,
arrives.
and
So
I-
this is nothing out of the ordinary.
All right, I'm gonna cut you short because there's a lot of
I'm
people.
leaving. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I may ask the board, let whoever making comment, let them finish so we don't cut them off. There's a lot of people, so we could hear.
That's fair enough.
If
It's
you
just
don't
that
mind.
sometimes
When they
people do
finish, we
start
could
saying
comment.
things
This way
that-
we go forward. I do agree with the gentleman personally on the Porta John. You probably put it on your property. We should get a number from the Board of Health, see what they recommend based on your number of people going in there, how many Porta John, but it is a good idea, put it on your property, so the days you close, people don't knock them down, or the wind or whatever, and they don't look good there. Based on people parking boats, people that could park boats and come in, I mean, we have no say on that. You guys, any of the board want to comment on the gentleman's discussion? Nothing? Okay, anyone in favor? Okay, let's see who's against. Yes, sir, come forward, please. Name and address for the record.
My name is Dennis Connery. My office address is 245 Main Street. I'm an owner at British Landing.
Yeah.
British Landing is right next door to this property.
Correct.
There are 60 condominiums there, 60 families living there. We have 60 parking places, or slightly more than that, for all 60 people. This is predominantly a residential area. We've got a large residential area down the street in Pinehurst. There are very few businesses in the area. The zoning at Verilife is institutional, and
I want to cut you for a minute. We're going to allow each person to speak for 5 minutes. You'll have turn to come back, because there's a lot of people here, so I'm going to let you
I
speak
didn't
for...
go 5 minutes yet, did I?
Excuse me?
No.
Listen, so we don't take people's time. I'll let you speak for 5 minutes.
Okay.
They could rebuttal for 5 and see other people, then you could come back. Very well?
Okay.
Fair enough? Okay.
This is a highly regulated business. I did a quick read of the regulations. I think they ran 70 pages. There's a lot of security. My understanding is that every part of this business has to be videotaped carefully, inside, outside, in the parking lot. My understanding is that there's a limit to the number of people that can go in the store. I've been on Main Street almost 50 years. I have occasion to watch this business develop. In the beginning, when it was a medical business, it made sense to have it close to the hospital, and that's probably why it happened. Now the nature of the business has changed completely. The purpose of this board is to have land in town used appropriately, and for you to consider whether this is an appropriate use of the property. Now, I think, importantly, the land across the street is Wareham Village 1, which is where this parking lot is. This marijuana business is not an allowed use in Wareham Village 1. It's not allowed. The people in Wareham determined in their wisdom to limit the areas in town where you can have a marijuana-related business. There's only, by my count, 3 areas. You can have it in the strip commercial over by Robertson's. You can have it in institutional, and you can have it in the industrial zone. I submit that this business has outgrown its space. 60 parking spaces is a big business. And I submit that my understanding was that there was going to be, I've seen the facilities at Tremont Nail, and I've seen them down at Water Whiz. There's tents there. There's people waiting to get picked up. No doubt this is an improvement. This would be an improvement for the tenant, but I submit that it's not an improvement for the town of Wareham or the people that live in that village. So I'd ask that, I don't believe that you can have a parking facility for a commercial business across the street in this zoning district. Parking would not be the primary use in the parking lot because there's no other business going on over there. So it, at best, would be, what is it accessory to? So I submit that this is not a legitimate use for that parking, for that business. Verilife is a commercial business, and it's seeking to extend its business over, expand out into this parking lot. Well, it's not a permitted use for this parking lot. So, yes, it's an it's an improvement that the Greer lumber buildings were knocked down. No argument there. But it's my understanding they were knocked down because the building inspector said they should come down. And I don't think the applicant should be rewarded for having those buildings come down. 2 years is a long time for a temporary use. So I don't know, I probably used up my 5 minutes. But I asked the board, one final point. I just received notice of this, I believe, last 1 week ago. I made some, and to be frank, when I first looked at this notice, I had no idea what it was. It's very obscure, but I don't say it was intentional, but anybody who looked at this, and I've talked to several people, they had no idea that this was for an overflow parking lot for the Verilife business.
All right, thank you. Just let me clarify a couple of things. The area this facility is, that's institutional, it's not Wareham Village, it's allowed use in the institutional. I do agree with you, it's new to us, I never in my wildest dream, I would think they'll have so many customers, which is good for them, good for the town making taxes. The thing is, the reason we gave them the retail license, it's automatic because they already had the medicine one, so the state allows them to have automatically the retail license. So we had no say in saying, no, you can't. And you're right, it's against the bylaw to have a parking separate by itself. You can't just have in Wareham a public parking by itself. You can't just go build a parking without a building or a business. However, in this case, we have to in this matter. In this particular case, it's the lesser evil, I would say, and it'll work for this facility. We cannot ignore the fact they have a license and they're operating. We can't just take the license away from them. It doesn't work this way. The state regulations, town regulation, we can't just take it away from them. I do agree with you, it's perfect location where Robertson is. I would like, well, the planners here maybe put on a warrant for next year to change the zoning. We can't just tell them you could go there, it's not allowed by right there. So it's not allowed use by Robertson, but you are right, that's the perfect location in that strip between like Robertson, Sutherford, this area, that's perfect, there's a lot of land. We hope we could do this in town meeting, in the warrant, and get some maybe stretch of half a mile allowed use in this area, and hopefully the applicant will move there, because eventually, the way I've seen it, and I've asked police and I asked people, it's not slowing down. The number's still the same every day and increasing, which is good for them, but this is a problem. We're just gonna accommodate for them to get through it. And I just wanna warn you, it is a problem gonna happen. We are gonna be on your back. You have to start addressing the issue to go somewhere else. Somewhere with your own parking, secure building, that's fine, we're helping you to get going. You're doing great, which is great. But it's very important, Ken, that we try to put on the warrant to find a location specifically for them and put it in town meeting. Very important. I mean, that it's a good location for it, but it's bad traffic for the area. Okay, the board, quick comment, Jake, on the gentleman.
Nothing.
Jen? No? Veronica?
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
If I understand correctly, right now, Verilife is the only option in Wareham to go buy recreational marijuana. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Right now, yes.
I'm asking, okay. And this town has allowed there to be 3 locations.
3 total, yes.
And the other 2 are identified and in...
One of them has been approved, the avionics building. We did last week.
That one that's going in the industrial park, so there's still 1 license up for grabs? Or?
No, it's people up, they're gonna be coming soon, they're already.
And they're gonna be coming,
Correct.
and that...
It's in East Wareham.
It's all gonna happen before this 2 years is over?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Then we know the pattern.
So, right now, these guys got the only gig in town.
Right.
Very soon, they're gonna be 1 of 3. So their volume of business may be diluted.
Can I ask you on that same, how has your business stabilized? Has it stayed the same? Has it increased? What has been your pattern?
I'd say it's been pretty stable. We've seen a decrease on the weekdays, just kind of a slow stream of people throughout the day. But that's how we hope it is, just for the long run. I mean,
Right.
I don't want lines any more than
But
anybody.
have you been having lines?
I would say just Saturday mornings.
Okay.
And we are anticipating extending so these people are, we have less people, but throughout a longer period of time. Because we don't want lines. We want people to get in and out of the store.
Did you have some staffing problems at first?
We cut back on our hours, so I have a wonderful staff, and I, didn't want to burn them out.
Right.
So we reduced our hours, and we'll be expanding back again.
In offering more hours, does that help even out the flow
A
from
lot.
moment to moment?
A lot.
All right, so, like I said, this is my opinion, this is the best scenario right now. We know it's not the right thing, but it's the best scenario right now. And I promise you, it's not gonna last. Apparently, the developer's gonna come, do something in this property, and after, we're gonna set a date for a 1-year review. We'll come back and revisit, and hopefully the other 2 dispensaries open, and if the traffic's still the same, they're gonna have to find a different location, okay? I wanna,
I have a question. One final point. I think we've seen this business in the wintertime. Every business in town doubles or triples in the summer, in this community. I've watched it for 50 years. It's restaurants, everybody is more busy in the summertime, and the
Correct.
wintertime is the slow season. So,
I totally understand. I know what
and the
you're,
other point is, I don't know if the 61st car comes in the lot, whether they get turned away. How is this all controlled?
that's why we should have a police or 2 there. If there's no parking, they gotta walk away, and maybe we'll ask them to have 2 police officers so nobody park at British Landing. Because I know somebody's been parking there.
So with all the police there, it looks like going into a war zone, or that a robbery must have happened when you're walking home to your residence in British Landing, or you're going down to Pinehurst.
That's personal opinion. That's your opinion.
Absolutely.
All right.
I would
we're
like to say
gonna-
one last thing, if I could.
Go ahead.
I find it hard to believe that this can be presented to us and that this has been going on, and we know parking and traffic is an issue, and you don't have a traffic count. To me, it doesn't make sense. So you should be able to come to us and say, this is what we're expecting. How can we make a decision without information?
I think
That's
they do
what I
400
feel.
to 700, average 400 to 700 cars a day.
But she said they don't know.
Well, no, it's, so 400 to 600 customers,
Customers,
but they come sometimes several to a car. So when we're talking about a car count, that would be done at the lot, I suppose, and we can do that for you. We just haven't, we've done a
I just have a
person
hard time
count.
One
making
at
a
a time,
decision
one at
without
a
that.
time. I understand. I know you have a hard time, but this is the best scenario. If we are doing it from scratch, we could go and ask for traffic study and everything, but it's a better scenario than having a shuttle and having people dropped off and go. It's totally, I do understand it's not the right thing legally, according to the bylaw, the right thing to do, but it's the best scenario. Jen, sorry.
I was just going to ask whether or not a car count under your current way of operating via shuttle would even be accurate to more of a, as you described it, storefront model of parking, running in the store and running out.
I mean, I would just like to say that the fact that we've been operating at Tremont, for since the beginning of January, with the layout of the lot, this is coming from my experience as in parking management, 32 years, the layout of the lot, the fact that we basically have people pull in, park, have to get on a shuttle, have to drive up, have to get out, that all extra time, and the fact that we still do not fill up the Tremont Street lot over capacity to basically we have no backups onto Elm Street, the police can attest to that. So the fact that you're eliminating the shuttle completely, eliminating all that time of people getting out of their cars to get in a shuttle, to orientate them on what they're doing, where's the shuttle bringing them, things like that, other than basically to have somebody basically be directed into a parking lot, have my attendants basically getting them parked just like we do at any of our facilities that we operate the parking, working lockstep with the police. The answer was if the 61st car pulled up, we would basically, at any time when we fill a lot, any lot we operate, we know exactly how many spots we have left, and when that, the last car is pulled in, basically it's a lot full, just as any other lot full, you basically need to immediately basically be able to tell people, and we can even, you know, it's with signage, it's with communication, it's with basically being in front of it and just being right there. That's not, I just want to eliminate there's never a point where people are just pulling into the lot and there's no one directing them and going, or people pulling in and, oh, the lot's full and I can't figure out. It's not like a situation where you'd see in a beach lot where there's no attendance and people just kind of pull in and then they start trying to create their own spots. It's just at any given time, but I just don't see, just with the amount of time we're saving, eliminating the shuttle, I really don't see it as being an issue.
All right, any more discussion?
I have a couple more
Yeah.
things, but you might have, let's keep
All
it
right,
open.
next
to the
person,
public-
please.
The public first.
Have a seat, please. Give us name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. It's Donald Veloso from 22 Choctaw Drive, Buzzards Bay. I also own a piece of property at 53 Main Street. I guess a couple questions. One,
Get closer to the mic so you could hear you.
I take exception that we have a lot of people here tonight to provide testimony, and I'm hearing the conversation that you've already approved this, and that's arbitrary and capricious, and I just can't even believe you conduct yourself. I'm really disappointed, and I really appreciate the fact that people donate their time to serve on these boards, but that conduct is that's not respectful of the people here that want to provide testimony, that you've already made a decision, because that's what I'm hearing.
Let me ask you something.
That's what's on the record.
I said my opinion. None of the board gave their opinion. I could have my opinion
That-
made because I think it's the right thing to do. Would you like to have not parking
No,
there?
I'd like you to listen to the testimony.
I am gonna listen to testimony. You might change your mind. That's why I'm asking everybody. So don't point fingers to me, sir.
Listen, I'm
Don't,
entitled.
listen to me. Don't come in this board and point fingers. Everybody have their own opinion. Am I pointing the finger to you saying you're wrong or right?
Yeah, I
No, I'm not.
Listen,
No, I'm not, sir. Go ahead.
I'm just explaining that I find it offensive. Perhaps other people do. You can find what I have to say offensive, but I
No,
expect
I don't
more.
find it offensive. You could say what you want, but don't point the finger. If I have my opinion, don't say I made my decision. You might change your mind.
So, my next question is, what authority does this board have to stipulate that they're gonna have police officers? And what power do you have to enforce that they're gonna have police officers?
If we grant this permit, this parking lot, we could make it a condition to have police officer, and they have to obey the conditions.
And what's the authority? What is it,
There's
you
the
come back in
zoning
a
board
year?
What's that?
The one-year review, or what's your authority to stop them from, I'm just, that's unclear.
I think
And-
maybe his question is, how's it enforced?
Yeah.
that a
It
better-
is enforced by the commissioner, by the police. Once we sign a decision and put the conditions, it's obeyed and it's followed. They cannot not divert from it.
If I might, to
Go
that
ahead.
question, maybe I heard wrong, to the applicant. Do your rules require you to have, police details, or is it a voluntary decision?
No, they do not. It's voluntary.
Okay, but I've heard it several times that it's your plan to have them.
We've had them since we opened, and we work closely with the chief and with
But
the
as
town
far as it
officials.
being, it's not part of your licensing, there's nothing in your licensing says you have to have it.
Absolutely
If this board
not.
imposes it, okay, that was for clarification for myself. Thank you. Go ahead, sorry, sir, to interrupt you.
And I guess I got some other questions about the authority to do temporary zoning. You're granting relief, and I didn't read anything about temporary variances, so I wasn't sure what that is in the zoning bylaw.
It's not, like
It's
I
not.
said, it's not allowed.
Okay.
We have the authority to do it, though.
Okay.
If we believe, if the whole board agrees, if 4 out of 5 agrees that's the best thing to do, we have the authority to do
Okay.
it, but it's not allowed use.
All right, and let's see if I have anything else. I think that's about it. I would ask that the board continue this hearing so we have an opportunity to review the plans that everyone received today. I think that would be fair for all parties. So I'd like you to take that into consideration and continue tonight's hearing for 2 weeks. Allow us to review the drawings that have been submitted.
We will definitely consider that. Thank you. Next
you, sir.
person,
Thank
please.
you.
Who else would like to come up and speak in opposition? We had, oh.
Yes, ma'am.
We had
Go
the in
ahead.
favor guy came up first, and then we did the opposed. Are you opposed or? in fa-
Opposed.
Yeah, come on up.
Well, actually,
Your name for the record
yes,
first.
Kim Walsh, and I live at
Address.
British Landings,
British, okay.
53 Main Street. I just have a couple of questions. I'm wondering, will it be paved and striped?
You have to put your questions through the board, ma'am.
Right.
Will it be paved and striped?
No.
So how are you going to control 60 spaces if it's not paved and striped?
Let me interrupt you, sorry. Go ahead.
It will be striped,
On gravel?
yes.
How long is it gonna last?
Yeah.
It'll be just like the Gateway parking lot that's painted repeatedly as it's needed so that they can provide proper parking to the patrons of the facility.
So it's going to have gravel and then striping? So there'll be
Yes.
60
Yes, to us,
designated
ma'am.
spaces?
You gotta
I'm
direct-
sorry, I'm
okay.
sorry. Will there be security at night?
Ma'am, will that be security at night?
No, we do not have security at night at our store, nor will we have it in the parking
No
lot.
security.
So if it's not locked, what's going to prevent, or security, what's going to prevent people from going in there at night?
And
Just like
parking?
they did.
And parking?
Yep, they did to
Nothing.
the lot, I know.
Right.
We're going to have an issue.
Just like people park at any parking, I would say.
Well,
if-
we
I
had
mean,
homeless parking next door to us.
Is that, it's not related to this matter, though.
Well,
If
but
it's not
One
secured,
at a time, please.
if it's not secured or locked or a gate around it, what's going to prevent people from going in there at night?
All right, would you like us to put a chain across the front at the gate so they lock it at night?
Whatever's going to look the best.
Okay, we'll consider that. Go ahead, Jim.
I mean, I suppose you know, I don't, I would say that a gate is more unsightly, and it also, whereas this is a vacant piece of land, essentially vacant, right? And what we were looking at before was a whole bunch of junk where people could hide. If your concern is not giving people a place to camp out and hide, then putting a fence around it and enclosing it would not be the way that I would suggest going. Rather, you have what's gonna be at night, a piece of ground with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. So, you know,
We
police
had
patrol-
issues with
I
the-
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
you know, yeah, you know.
I know, but I don't, I myself am far less concerned about having issues when you're dealing with a plot, an area that's wide out in the open for everyone to see and no one can hide.
And who will be directing traffic? Is that
That's
your
what-
responsibility of Laz?
Right, that's why we're gonna suggest to hire all the time, maybe 1 or 2 police officers. And just going back to your idea, I think it's a good idea to put a chain at night at the gates only, not fence at the whole
Right.
property.
And what if there is 62 people parking there?
That's 62
Will that be a
people.
problem?
No, I don't see
So
it.
is it going to be zoned for 60 only?
Wherever the numbers are, if we approve the numbers, that's what it will be.
Okay.
If there is not enough, people can go inside, that's why we'll have.
They can't go inside?
No, that's why a police officer will be there.
Okay,
All the
why
time.
not a gate with tickets? Laz is very familiar with that.
Gate,
Right? A gate with tickets, and then when the tickets run out,
I mean, we're still gonna have, and you might.
Go ahead.
I know. So we need attendants there regardless. When you have attendants there, a gated system, basically, the reason why we have gates, in any town of, any lot in Boston, it's either attended or unattended. And the only time a gate is there is for parking after the attendant's gone, like overnight parking, people will use a credit card. There is gonna be no overnight parking. I would even suggest that, I would agree that you don't want it unsightly, but a chain, but he's simply just, very aesthetically pleasing, just a couple signs. This is private property, just like in a park where there's no parking after sundown, if there's times there and they're not supposed to be parked there, and there's a not an unsightly chain, if somebody pulled into that parking lot, technically, they're trespassing, and that would be an issue where you could call you could have a private tow company, or there could be some arrangement with the police that they know that basically if anybody is in that lot, they're not supposed to be in there. That's all. I mean,
I think it's a good idea to go in contact with the tow company and they come at night and give them authority, just pick a car, any car they see. They probably will love it too, so.
that's usually along your lines of prevention. If people know if they park there for whatever
Gotta put
reason.
a sign.
Yeah,
And you
but
just told them.
if they know that if a car's gonna get towed there, that might alleviate, because people, whatever, they, you know, at night, they're not going to the dispensary, but if they're just saying, well, I just wanna park my car here to go here, there, or anywhere, it's no different. They shouldn't be parking in this lot compared to they shouldn't be parking on someone's private property or anything else like
Right.
that.
All right. Your 5 minutes almost up. so-
Okay, so, all right. And the 15 minutes turnover, don't you think there's going to be if you're only parking for 10 minutes, you have 60 spaces, it's going to turn over quite, there'll be a lot of traffic
Correct.
going in and out. So that's my concern.
Thank you.
And security.
Thank you. Any comments on the ladies' comments?
Oh, okay. Well, my only comment on that whole thing is that, managing commercial properties where we have parking issues, the tow contract works wonderfully.
Yeah.
You put up a sign, owners, vehicles will be towed at owner's expense, you get a tow company, they circle the place like vultures waiting for some victim. They park their car, they tow it, they charge an outrageous amount to get their car back. The word travels quick and people don't park there. It works
Correct.
wonderfully.
Correct.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
About the parking? So, the comment has been made that this is so much better than the current parking at Tremont, and with the problems there, maybe I'm ignorant to it, but what are the problems there that they've been having that this has to be moved to this location at this point in time?
It's not necessarily problems there, it's that there are other activities that are going to be taking place. The remediation of the site is going to start, and the improvements to the steel building are going to be, the construction is going to start, and the skin on that building is going to be completely replaced. So there are going to be other activities that are going to take up room on the site and create
Will they be
conflict.
losing, yeah, right.
They're
Will they
losing
be
their
losing
lease.
parking?
Yeah.
They're losing their lease.
Correct.
The landlord's kicking them out.
Okay, when is that happening?
Soon. Because the town went into contract with the new
Depends when
people.
they find another place. I think they're being tolerant of them right now while they seek alternate parking.
All right, next person, please. Yes, ma'am. Want to come forward?
I got 60 spaces at my parking.
Name and address, please.
My name is Laura Ferreira, and I live at 53 Main Street, British Landing here in Wareham. I'm very happy that VeriLife has been successful so far, but I do have some real concerns about safety. Somebody mentioned something a while ago about a traffic count. Right now, they have a very nice system where they have vans bringing people in, and probably, and I may be guessing here, and perhaps the question should be addressed to this gentleman, how many people are there in the van each trip?
That varies. You might
Yes,
answer.
go ahead.
It varies depending on the time of the day, and we generally have a van, and we'd like to wait maybe at most 5 minutes. Sometimes we take up 3 or 4 people, sometimes, it depends. Two cars could pull in with 3 people each, but the idea of 2 vans is to constantly be moving people, so at no point, nobody's ever waiting at one point or waiting at another point to go to the next point. And the idea of, when you eliminate the shuttle across the street in the parking lot, there isn't a next point. It's basically point A to point B and
So
gone.
my concern here is that if you listen to the gentleman, what that is going to amount to is going to amount to a very high traffic count in and out of Main Street. And cars could bottleneck up a bit as they're trying to get down a little bit further, get into that parking lot. One of the things that we have to be considering is the fact that VeriLife, and again, I'm very happy for them, it's a good business for them, and they're doing well. However, the entrance to the emergency room at Toby Hospital is right there beside VeriLife. And you have ambulances going in and out of there all the time, and, when people are critically ill, they need to get into that hospital quickly. The last thing they need to be faced with is a bottleneck of traffic of cars coming in and out, worrying about, people trying to get in, people trying to get out of Main Street. Somebody made a comment earlier about maybe kind of educating people that they could kind of traverse out in a different direction. However, I'm still very concerned about safety. I'm worried about an ambulance being held up. I'm worried about an accident because people are in a hurry to get in and out of there. So I would ask the board to please very carefully consider that, and I think the idea of, at least 2 police officers at all times when the place is open to really kind of keep an eye on that traffic. I think it's
It's
imperative.
gonna be one or two, absolutely, it'll be a condition.
But I would really ask you to really think hard about what this is going to mean for the entrance into Toby Hospital as well as for the neighborhood.
I totally understand your concern, and like I said before, it's something in front of us we cannot ignore. So the license is there, and the traffic is there, so we gotta make it the best we can, safe as we can, convenient as we can to everyone, and help them out to get going within a year or so to move somewhere else. So this is the whole idea. It was a new thing to the town, and like I said to the previous speaker before you, we had no say in the retail part of it. So it comes automatically with the medicine, people get the license for retail. I thought there'll be traffic, but it's something new for everywhere in the state of Massachusetts. As I understand, in Leominster, there were like lines, 400 people in line when they opened the place.
Right.
So we start hearing these stories. So apparently all the towns and the cities weren't ready for this. And that's how you learn. We learn from our mistakes, and hopefully, and the second one, we did a big change. And I believe with Mr. Madden, the one in the industrial park, they wanted to add a building. We didn't allow them now, so they used the parking for the addition they put in for parking, so to see how it goes. So we're learning as we go. And like I said, this is, I think, the best scenario right now, as I see it. I don't speak for the board, that's my own opinion. I see it the best scenario right now for everyone. And again, it's my own opinion. And thank you for your comment.
Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak?
Others?
Anyone want to speak? Yeah. Yes, please come forward.
My name is Bill Peliquin. I'm at 53 Main Street. I have a concern about the building that has how many people can actually, patrons, go in the building at one time. I've heard it's only 21 people.
I don't know, we'll listen from them. Ma'am, how many people goes into at once inside the
We
store?
have our certificate of occupancy, gosh, I believe it's 436.
No, what's 436?
Our
436 people.
people at once.
Oh, 426.
FOR, not
So they,
FOUR.
all right, so they,
36.
I guess 6 people at the most inside.
36.
36? Oh, so I guess 36 people at once.
So you have 36 people, but
Inside.
inside, so that could potentially be 36 cars. Because a lot of cars.
Could be. Or
I-
maybe 20 cars, 2 people in a car.
I,
Or
li-
could be 36.
I live there.
Could be 36.
I see extremely high traffic, and it seems like 36 cars would be
Fair enough.
a fair count. Also, I noticed that on that Marion Road in the summertime, it's one way, because people park on both sides of the street. Because on Main Street in front of British Landing, that where the lot is actually continues into a bottleneck. The road goes from probably about 40 feet wide down to about 30 feet, if not even narrower. So if you're going to continue with traffic pulling in and out of that parking lot, and you have parking on both sides of the road, not one side, but both sides, because a lot of people in the summertime go to British Landing, they're only seasonal. And a lot of people have multiple cars. So the only overspill that we have is going to be in the street. So if you have that additional parking in the street, it bottlenecks all the way down to that, was that Church Street? That goes up the hill there? Cedar Street. It goes up that, and it goes down the side of the street where their parking lot is being proposed. So you're telling us, the people that live in that area, that we have to deal with a higher amount of traffic based on the flow of the traffic, because you have people going in and out of Pinehurst, and it's one way. I have to wait at the crosswalk in order for people to come down the street to get to my condo unit. That to me is a lot unsafe. And Verilife was really thinking about this, why can't they stay at the place they are? They should find another place, another parking lot, or minimize the amount of parking lot that they have now, because you're saying it's going to have 60 slots. So that means the line that's coming out of that line, how many people have you had in line so far?
Again, sir, we.
To ask
we need
I'm
to-
sorry, how many people have they had in line at one given time on a Saturday?
Ma'am, how many people you had?
At the beginning of the day, we might have 30 people outside at the beginning of the day,
30.
before we open.
Okay, how many people is it to the sidewalk? Outside where the police, at the crosswalk, that's how far the line has come.
If you say so, okay.
Well, I live there, I've seen it.
Okay.
So how many people would that be?
She said 30 people.
30 people just makes it around the back of the building to where their potty is.
Wow.
I want to know how far it is, how many people would it be from the sidewalk, which that's where the police detail stops the people.
Okay.
They keep them across the street
So you saying you want to know how many people could you fit from the sidewalk to their door?
to the back door.
How many can you fit from the sidewalk to the door? 50, 60,
Probably 60 people.
60?
So you have 60 people.
No, she said 30, sir. We're giving you, if there's to be
Okay,
those-
if it's, okay, we'll just go hypothetical.
Okay.
So we say 60 people in line, and you have 36 people inside. You have almost approximately 100 people. So if you, my map might be wrong, but it's well over 60 cars. So, and the flow of people going in and out of that facility is extremely slow. So I just worried about the traffic issue, the safety. There's a lot of families in that area. Does the board consider this more of catering to their business or catering to the people that live here and pay taxes year-round, that we live here? That's my question.
We apparently cater to the resident and do what's right for the business person. And like I said, we think it's the wrong location for this place, for the dispensary, for the parking. But this is what we have to work with right now. The people running out of lease for where they're gonna park, where they're shuttling from Tremont Near, because that belongs to the town, and the town leased it. Apparently, they don't have a deal with Wareham no more, especially in the summer. And so, if we say, okay, there's no place to park, people gonna be parked everywhere,
It will be far worse than a parking lot.
a lot far.
And that is the case, and I don't know that this business has any obligation per se to try to find this solution. But it is trying to be a good neighbor and try to find a good solution.
I'd like
Because
to-
the other solution, if they did nothing, they would be like any business on Main Street, and people would want to go to their business and park wherever the heck they needed to park to get there.
Correct.
So this provides some order, at least for a 2-year period. They, in my experience with them, seem to be a proactive business entity and trying to find ways to evolve and work well with the community. So, I see this as them trying to find the best solution they can so that it's not mayhem.
Jimmy?
I just want to state to the people that are here, there's people here with concerns. This board is also under no obligation to provide relief. We have no obligation to this business. So I understand that there's a sense that, that I've heard 2 or 3 questions. This board's not obligated to provide Verilife with parking or with a solution. We can overturn zoning if it's the right thing for the town, but we're not obligated, we can tell them, sorry, you can't, go find another spot. So I don't want people coming up here
I mean,
with
what
the
they-
predisposed thought that this board is obligated to grant this application or is predisposed to do so. We're happy to listen to your testimony.
So I just
And-
have
and
one
then
question. Has anybody
decision
given thought of,
thereafter.
has anybody given thought of the parking outside of J.C. Penney to the right in Crosswinds parking there? They have probably about 70 spots right there. Right there, we have,
They cannot.
They cannot park
The parking at the marketplace or it's what do you call the mall, Wareham Marketplace?
Wareham Crossing.
Wareham Crossing, this is designed for the amount of people. I know a lot of times it's empty, but you cannot take it, use it. because that's the numbers designed for the retail people. You cannot, that's really breaking the bylaw, taking out parking. What happen if the place is full, then what you do?
But
You
I don't
understand?
understand the fact that if you're willing to penalize us that live here with a high traffic
All right,
issue.
let me put it this way for you.
Go ahead.
If we go ahead, say, okay, we're gonna deny this parking lot, and they could also say, we're not gonna agree that we pay for a police officer, guess what's happened to people, where they gonna park? They're gonna go, they parking in your place at the British Landing. They're gonna find every parking's empty, they're gonna go park there.
I have
They're
a
gonna
question about
park
that.
across the street, they're gonna park on Cedar Street, they're gonna park everywhere. Like Jim said, we are under no obligation to grant this, but it'll be chaos.
So the
Yes.
shuttling that's been happening has been voluntary, and that nobody has said that that's where everybody has to park to come to the store? That's been totally voluntary on Verilife's part?
It's been voluntary by
Pretty much.
Verilife. Verilife set up their, Verilife anticipated the volume of business when they went from medical. If I'm incorrect, please interrupt me.
There's
but
no legal obligation for
There was-
them to do the shuttle.
To find
they were-
parking in any way?
There's no legal obligation.
No, they anticipated the flow. They knew when they went from medical to recreational, it had been proven, this was the first one to open this side of the Mississippi, if I heard it right. And they knew there was potential of 10,000 cars coming to town. They said, we can't do this to Wareham. So they made arrangements, and they set this bit up with Waterways. Then they got a handle on what the volume was. Apparently, they made alternate arrangements on a temporary basis at the Tremont location, which is also zoned Wareham Village 1, as is the parking lot we're talking about, or the location. But again, this is, I think it's important for everybody to understand, this is temporary. If I'm interpreting this right, Verilife needs to relocate, and they just need time to do it, and that's what they're asking this board for, and the neighborhood, for relief while they seek an
So-
alternate, not to just move their parking, but to move their whole business.
So that's been agreed, Verilife is moving.
It's not agreed,
Right,
it's
So,
not agreed.
because in
it's
2
not-
years from now, if we say, okay, you know, this did not work out, they're just gonna.
We
what's
are
gonna happen
coming
then?
back in 1 year to
I don't think
review.
that we can, well, first of all, we can't force Verilife to move.
We can't
No.
tell them, no.
No, we
But
are
are
just
you-
Well,
hoping
I
they
just
work
wanna
with
know
us.
what's really happening. There's a
Are
lot
you-
of might.
Are you all actually looking for larger accommodations, or?
We are.
Alternate.
We are,
Just
we are,
have to
we
be
are
larger,
actively
but-
looking and talking with the town on where they'd prefer us to be. But, you know, we need to also be zoned, you know, medical is zoned in the institutional district, and that's where we cited. And if we're moving, you know, we want to bring the medical license with us. We don't want to
Yeah,
lose the
right.
medical
Well-
piece. So that's, you know, that's going to take a little time.
This, I gather, I apologize, I do, just a quick question. I gather that this being, trying to figure out a solution to the obvious is probably a pretty ongoing part of your daily routine.
And I appreciate that you have used the shuttling so far, and you've done what you can to help to prevent the issues that obviously the parking is going to create. However, that being said, I do not feel that this is a good spot.
When we approved this, didn't we say that no one could park at Bessie Park at all, other than the shuttle coming through?
No, we didn't. And even if we did, we could, that's why they're here. You could revise it, but we never did.
I just thought we did, sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
To be clear, what is the effect of denying this application?
People park anywhere they want.
They can't just park in front of any business that's in town if that's,
Sure.
if that's their
Of course
parking,
they
that's what
can.
I'm
It's
saying.
public street.
Yeah.
I
They
think-
can park anywhere.
Excuse me, Naz,
So just start a
Mr.
big
Chairman,
war.
I think it's probably not that people will park anywhere they want. If we denied this permit, and I don't mean to disagree with you, but respectfully, I don't think that means people will park where they want. I think what denying this permit does is force Verilife to seek an alternate.
Well, sure,
Off-site
if they're a
parking
good,
spot.
if they're a good
If
member
they're-
of
if
the
they're-
community, they will, and I
Makes-
think that's how they are,
Well,
however.
it's good business. They
Yeah.
want their customers to get to them. and-
Sure, they can try to find somewhere else, but in the meantime, if there's a spot in front of El Mariachi, they're gonna park in front of El Mariachi.
Walk down.
If there's a spot down the road on the way to, British Landing, they're gonna park there and walk over, so, That's what's gonna happen, so instead of,
No, I totally get it, I totally get it.
What we approved was from appointment only, and I'm sorry to get out of it, appointment only. They had parking spots in the back, they had enough by appointment only. You call up, make an appointment with Verilife. You have an appointment, you go in the back, you're unseen, no one sees you, you go in, you get your stuff, you come back out, and then you leave. That's what I approved. I didn't approve any extra
I
parking
thought
lots or
there was parking
recreational.
with
So
approval,
that's just me,
too.
though. That's me personally.
Jim, I don't believe I approved appointment. He's gonna look at it, Ken.
Or was discussed.
Okay, sir, I wanna allow someone else. We
Okay,
can come back
thank
to
you,
you. Yes, sir.
Stan Reimers, Wareham residents. I just want to reemphasize what he said, because you have a condominium and a small marina on that road, and then you also have Zecco's Marina.
Right.
Zecco's has 300 boat slips. I have a boat there, and I can tell you from April to October, they are full out. You can't even find a place to park there in their whole spot on a Saturday or Sunday. That intersection cannot handle it. It can't handle it now, it's not gonna handle it in the future. And also, Route 6 is a major highway from Wareham to Marion, and it backs up right into the town. You all know, on a Saturday in the summer, you can't drive through Wareham Center. You stop, you stop, you stop. The road is narrow in Wareham Center, you can't pull over because they made the curb things. It's a mess. So, just keep that in mind, because I think you're heading for big trouble. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment. Speaking that, it just dawned to me right now, we could make a regulation that, you know how you have a voucher on the bus that you could get in a place? Maybe only the people who parks here, the kiosk right here, so the attendant of the parking, you have attendant gonna be when you open, you hand them a voucher, and they're the only one can go in your place. So in other words, if somebody park in the street, he doesn't have voucher, he can't enter. That's probably a very good idea, so nobody attempt to park in the street. So the only people who go in the parking, get a voucher, can go in. Don't have it, you don't get in.
Do we have more people that want to speak here?
Yes, ma'am, come through. That's a very important thing, probably we should discuss.
Hi. my
Name,
is
ma'am?
Sherry Patera, and I live at British Landing. One of the things that I feel hasn't been addressed tonight, and I have heard no mention of it, is the people crossing the street. As it stands now, there are cones. They don't go in the cones. They stroll across the street. It's not directly across the street where the shuttle drops them off. So, they go left of the cones, right of the cones, chatting it up. So if there was a parking lot and there's no sidewalk on the other side of the street, they would be walking where?
Well, maybe we could discuss with the traffic board in Wareham or police, maybe we could put a cross line from where the kiosk is, where the attendant of the parking is, if the town would allow us to put a crosswalk, and that's why police officers very important to be on site.
It's like herding kittens.
I understand.
And 60 people is a lot of, it's
Right,
like
but
going to the Barnstable
I know,
Fair.
right, but you're saying 60 people in 1 second, but 60 people, it's not in 1 second.
Well, they're not gonna all cross the street at once. They're gonna have to stop and wait for the cars, I hope.
Correct.
And then there's gonna be a flood of people, and then.
No, she's good.
You have a point, that's why it's very important to have police officers there all the time.
That's why it's important to let the public come up and talk, so.
Yeah, I mean,
All good thoughts.
I have trouble getting home now.
I
When
know.
the shuttle pulls in, and it has 12, 15 people on it, and there's some over here, and there's some over
I know.
there, and they're chatting it up, and, there's just, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for me. I almost got hit yesterday, because I stopped for the people, but the people coming down Main Street, they're not stopping for me.
It is, and totally understand, but we want to make the best we can so we could help these people move and make it better for everyone. If we can't work together, we're not doing any good.
Right.
I mean,
So-
this is a temporary parking lot. It's not gonna, like I said, we're gonna review in a year, and hopefully, like I said, we put this in the warrant and find them a different place. But we can't just say, well, we don't like you, we're gonna shut the place down. Doesn't work, unfortunately, it don't work this way.
Right, there's so many things we don't know, and I don't know the law, I'll admit that.
I
but
know,
do-
and we, a lot of things we don't know either. We're learning from our mistakes. Like we said, this is something new to everyone.
Right.
You know,
I
this hasn't been
do,
around for, it's been illegal for so long, not for long legal. So a lot of towns facing the same problems, not only us.
Yeah, I just think it's an opportunity for Wareham to be smarter about their waterfront and how they develop it, and what do we want as a town?
You're
You know,
absolutely
oh,
right. We hope,
waterfront lot, let's put a parking lot there.
Well,
You
to
know,
be
even
fair,
if it's only for a year.
but to be fair, it's not the town of Wareham who can dictate what a private property owner does with their property. I mean, perhaps to an extent, you can regulate it, but
Do they own this lot?
no, they're leasing it from somebody who plans on developing it after this 2-year lease. So, hopefully they have some wonderful plans for it.
And, yeah.
I,
Time will
I,
tell,
I
right?
agree with you. I would love to see a nice waterfront park. That would be amazing. Yeah.
be nice, yeah.
And I work in Middleborough, and we have the same exact situation going on. And I was told at all the Middleborough zoning board of appeals meetings that I went to, that the state has to approve recreational marijuana. Medical marijuana license does not automatically dictate that you get a recreational marijuana. However, when I went to the meeting in in Wareham, they said, well, they're not gonna go there if they only get medical. That's not where the money is. We need the money. We have to vote for this. So, just so we know that the steps that are involved are sort of a little bit, not direct.
What the
They-
voters did, it's the voters. The voters allow it to come to Wareham. The voters
Right, no,
allow it.
I
It's not in our
understand that.
hand.
I understand that. But there were some stretchy truths at that meeting,
I,
you know.
I
so-
wasn't there when they voted for it, so I don't
Talking
know.
about the town meeting where people were speaking,
About turning it into institutional, is it, or industrial?
Turning it to retail, you mean?
Yeah, but they had to change
the
You
term.
mean in 2016, when they did the, yeah, they allowed the retail to come to Wareham in 2016,
Right,
town
but it's
meeting.
actually two
Not
steps.
2016.
It's two
That was the
steps.
medical and institutional.
When did we allow the town
There's,
meeting
it's been,
for retail?
the term institutional, et
2018.
cetera.
Yeah,
There's three zones that, in whoever drafted the current bylaw, that granted three specific zones in Wareham where this can exist. Institutional is one. Institutional is where you put your schools and your hospitals.
Right.
Okay? So that's an appropriate place to sell marijuana. And they
Medical
also.
marijuana.
And, period, not medical, I'm not talking
Schools?
recreational or medical. The other zone is industrial, that's the industrial park. And the third one is strip commercial, but only a certain part of it has been described as approved. It's not all of the strip commercial, they've kind of, in the description, limited it to a specific, they've taken a zone and actually further zoned it. And those are there's only three limited places right now. This member of the board will be recommending through the planning department that that bylaw be altered, but that's what we
It
got.
was hinky.
That's what we got in front of us right now.
Yeah.
But,
No, I
you know,
understand what's going on
somebody-
now,
You know,
but
the
where
guy
are
who
they
does nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Something was done, now we can find out what's wrong with it and we can correct it. So, you know, our chair is indicating that he's trying to grant some relief to a local business and encourage it, but he's not looking to encourage them to stay. I know that the public seems to find that objectionable. We'll vote as a board, but
Yeah.
I get,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just trying to clarify.
I
You were
know,
using
it's
some
just
words,
not-
I get that it gets cloudy. If you're not interested, you don't come to these meetings.
Bingo. I
And
had never
now
been.
something got your attention
I've
and
never been
I
to
got
one of
you.
these. Hopefully never again.
Yep.
Just saying. So, anyway, thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Point of order.
What's your point of order?
May the public, may we bring the map since we haven't had the opportunity to see?
Can you come forward?
Yeah, here, look, you can have this, you can
Can we just
review.
bring that up
Here.
so we can see, it's hard to reference anything.
No, that one's for us to see, but you got one in your hand now.
I was just thinking the rest of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who else want to speak against?
Anybody else that wants to come up and speak? Come on
Yes,
up,
sir.
sir. I don't mind, sure.
Yeah, these are all the same.
Jake, do you mind passing these for the,
But we need these back. We'll give you a few
No.
plans, but
you don't need those.
Just get the small ones out.
Just pass them to everyone, they could take a home review. We have plenty.
there we
Go
go.
ahead. Your name,
Go ahead,
sir?
sir.
My name is James Harkins. I live at 53 Main Street. My question is, does Verilife have another option for parking other than the one we're dealing with?
Do you have other options right now?
No, we don't right now.
They don't.
So there's been no pursuit of another location to?
Sir, I keep reminding,
Just ask us, we'll give you the answer.
ask us and we'll ask
Oh,
them.
okay.
Direct all your questions through the board, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's been no effort to pursue a backup plan if this should not
Do you
pass?
have a plan B?
There's been a lot of discussions with the town and looking at other locations and where people would prefer us, but this has been identified as the best option on a temporary basis.
Sure, answer.
What is the likelihood that this option would end before the 2-year period that you're looking at?
That's why we're gonna come in a year. We're gonna set the date tonight for a year, so we're not stuck with the 2 years. So we'll see how it went next year, and we're hoping to put in a warrant to create a different zone in the town, like Mr. Akabachi said, not anywhere you could put these dispensaries. So hopefully we put it on the warrant, and hopefully it passes town meeting to create a different area, and then they could go out, acquire this property, buy it or lease it, and hopefully with plenty of parking, and I'm hoping it'll be on 28, so there's no traffic on Main Street and stuff like that.
Right.
But in the interim, that's my opinion, we believe this is the best location. As the gentleman next to you had mentioned, giving up the van during the day, moving people back and forth. Let's say they open 8 hours, you're wasting this 2 hours transportation that could be moving customers a lot faster. Because moving the vans and dropping the people, bringing them, so right, when they park here, go across the street, they do their business, they're gone. So they're gonna gain a lot of time. Maybe they'll help them less operating hours. So instead of opening 8 hours, they might do 6 hours this way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I believe I do.
Yeah.
But my question wasn't, how is the board going to monitor this situation, but what does Verilife have planned for the inevitability that in a year you say, sorry, this isn't working out? I want to know what their plan B is.
Plan B, in a year.
Plan B if the parking lot, if this.
Right now, they're applying for 2 years, but hopefully we come in a year, let's say you don't have an answer. So the right question would be, what happened 24 months from today?
All right.
That's what he wants to know.
So with 24 months from today, I would hope by then we would be in another location.
Is Verilife currently leasing the location
No.
they're in?
They're
own-
leasing the parking lot, yes.
No, but do they own the
We are
building?
leasing, we are leasing the building.
They're
They're leasing the building.
Yeah.
And how long a lease is that?
How long the lease, ma'am?
I believe it was, I think it's a 7-year, then with another option.
So,
What year are they in that lease?
What year are you in?
And we have an option to terminate after, I think, oh gosh, what year are we in? 3, 4?
So you have an escape clause and you have an extent, you have
We
an
do.
option to renew.
We do, yep.
okay. So if the 2-year period for this special permit expires, what I want to know is it likely to be reapplied for? Or by that time, is Verilife likely to be relocated? And will the town provide a vehicle for that?
My hopes are, that's my opinion, my hopes are to find another place, because like I said, we cannot make them
Right.
find parking.
Right.
I mean, they're kind enough, and apparently they're making good money to accommodate that.
Right.
So that's what we're hoping, and we're hoping we'll rectify this issue within a year, hopefully with town meeting and stuff. But say, hypothetically speaking, say 2 years come in, and these people say we want that land, and they can't find the parking. We're out of luck. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
Well, I think I,
So that's why I said it's very important that we work with these people, to help them out so they could find a place.
yeah,
That's very important. To begin with, it was the wrong place. Institutional was good for the medicine, but like I said, the state gives them automatically the retail license.
okay.
So
And-
that's why we couldn't get away from it. I never thought it'd become retail. Nobody thought. Most of us didn't believe it, but it's here.
Okay, and you believe that Pharmacanis and Verilife are of the same opinion you've
I
just
would hope
expressed?
so. I would hope.
Okay.
They on board, and I'm sure they don't want this pressure. I'm sure they don't want to come before us and listen to this and
It seems
have,
that they've testified to as much tonight
Right,
you know?
right.
on more than one occasion.
So I have one final question.
Yeah.
Is Pharmacana or
Verilife.
Verilife bidding for ownership of the property, the Baker property?
Are you trying to buy where you are?
No, we are not.
No, they're not.
They are not.
Well, apparently it doesn't look good for them, so I don't think they're gonna buy it.
Okay, well, I'm,
Unless you own it and you wanna sell it.
no, it's only a concern because obviously people at British Landing have been, and the other people in the neighborhood, looking at an eyesore for years and hoping and wondering something good would happen, and this wasn't part of the picture, so I think that may be some of the resistance is, you know, people are concerned about what will happen to this property that could be such an asset to the town that has not been for such a long time because of its condition and the previous owner, so.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, thank you very much.
All right, who else like to speak?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
To everybody. That gentleman just used the term previous owner. Did the, I'll call it the Baker property, did that location get sold and this is a new owner or?
No, there's no new owner. It's the same owner.
Same owner, just
This-
different.
The owner
different-
cleaned it up and is planning on redeveloping the property, and in the interim has this as an option.
Okay.
All right. Now, anyone else?
Anybody
Okay.
else that wants to speak?
All right,
I-
apparently.
1 minute for rebuttal.
Yes, go ahead, come forward. Your name again.
This is the guy that's in favor of it.
Yes.
Yes, my name's Ron Cronin, 72 Main Street. I understand the need for this, and Mr. Chairman, I agree that what I would ask for the public, at a minimum, that we always have, during business hours, 2 armed Wareham police officers on a detail, that you gate the 2 entrance and exit to the parking lot, that you ask the company to do a traffic study and report back to you next year, and that's a simple, easy, hose across the road, they take traffic counts, it's a company, they'll do it, and that will give you a clear idea of whether to renew or not renew. And just the reasons I ask for that is that at night, every weekend night in the summer, there's people partying across at Bessie Park. They were partying next door at Toby Hospital. They park in there. That lot will be filled in with people at night fishing. The water's right there. Might even be wise to have them put a fence up from the parking lot to the water so we don't have a drowning at night. But in the mornings, they'll have beer cans, all kinds of debris, trash. It's done every summer across the street at Bessie Park. There has to be a no entrance at night, a chain, a gate, but we're not worried about aesthetics at all of a fence. We've looked at debris there for 15 years. And because the noise abatement review in this document just isn't accurate, I don't know who did it. And as one last thing is the sale of the property. Toby Hospital was selling their lot next door, which they blocked off, which holds approximately 50 cars. A year and a half ago, it was on the market for $125,000. But that's just for your information, that, you know, that might
So
be the
you
place to...
encourage them to stay on Main Street?
I know. It's, but I do just ask that we think of the safety of the residents. If this goes forward, armed police officers, if they're making $70,000 a day, they can afford to hire 2 detail cops at $1,000 a day. That we
Well,
have.
they have been.
They have.
Yeah, I know it, and I just ask that you make it part of your conditions during business hours, and at night when it's closed, that we gate off, or they, you know, nicely, just gate off that parking area, no porta potties in the parking lot, and not to congregate there, because I ran the numbers on the people, and there's at least 104 people per hour hanging about at 34 people in the shop with a full parking lot and 2 people per car. But thank you again, and you're in a tough decision ahead of you.
Thank you for your comments,
All right.
sir.
Thank you.
Apparently, we're gonna continue this hearing, but I have some recommendation, and hopefully we hear from the board. Get a pen and paper.
Wait for a minute, Mazzy. Folks,
I just
folks,
want to say one thing real quick. if you
ahead.
don't mind. I really like the idea of having a gate, that your customers will pull a ticket. So that they also. I'm sorry, she was just, and they have to present this parking ticket. So
That's
they're not
excellent idea.
parking along, and Les Parking can definitely do
Okay.
that. You know, where you have some sort of a
Very well.
monitoring system.
Thank
And
you.
they couldn't get in at night if you had a gate.
All right. I wanna start with my recommendations for next time, and you guys make recommendations. We're not making a vote on this, so. My first recommendation, Bill, pave the entrances all the way to the curb. Second one, the catch basin, maybe 10 feet radius, pave around it to protect it with some filter fabric maybe. Third third suggestion, the porta john on your property, not on the parking. Fourth suggestion, 2 police officers all time of operation. We recommend that your security be armed as well, it'd be a good idea. At night, put a gate, simple gate at the entrances, or a gate, and addition to the gate, maybe like if you park at your own risk or tow the car, so whichever one, but if you gate it, nobody's gonna go in there. In the day, it's very important, the ticket, the voucher at the kiosk. Hand the key, the parking people, like I said, get a voucher, they don't have the voucher, just like now you have a van voucher, they don't get in. Perfect idea, so they don't park anywhere else. And that's my, this is my suggestions, and probably Bill add some hay bales to that silt fence. Veronica, what's your recommendation if it's to go?
Well, the only thing I have to say is, you know, at this point, I'm still against, and a lot of that has to do with the abutters, and being a member of the town. I want to see what's best for the town. I understand that it is best for you as the operator of the property, and it is a difficult situation, but as Mr. Conry mentioned, it's really not zoned for that. It happened to go through because that's what the state mandated, but that's not what the town wants. So that has to be taken into consideration, and at this point, I'm still against unless I hear a lot of these, but I don't live down there. If I lived down there, I wouldn't change my mind. But if the abutters are willing to come up and say, oh, you know, what you're gonna do has made us say, okay, to agree to it, then I would agree. But I can't in good conscience vote yes at this point.
Jimmy.
Okay, I thought I heard, a few comments. Well, first of all, the 24 months. Let me ask, through the chair to our town planner, when's the next town meeting? When could the town take action next?
October.
October. And that'd be October 2019?
2019, yeah.
So that's, October's the 10th month, and we're in the 3rd month, 3 from 10 so that's 7 months from now, correct?
Correct.
So during the next 7 months, there's no zoning relief, but during the next 12 months, there very possibly could be. Okay, that's just, so during the next 8 months, it's, the applicant is somewhat handicapped on selection of sites to relocate their business. Would that, it's kind of a question and a statement all in one. Does that make sense to anybody?
I don't know what you're saying.
I'm saying that if our current zoning only allows them to be in such a narrow window of places, there's a very narrow window of places that they can go seek alternate location for their business.
Yeah.
If we change the zoning, that opens more opportunities for them to relocate. So in the interim, we've got this 8-month period here where they're somewhat handicapped by our current zoning. That said, I tend to be thinking that, 12 months is appropriate. But I think that maybe the lease could be 12 months. We're coming back in a year, and the only reason they get the second 12 months is if they come back with compelling evidence that they've found an alternate solution.
That they have found an alternate solution?
Yeah.
Or that they have been looking?
Identify. If you're doing a 1031 exchange, you have so much time to identify where you're going. This isn't a 1031,
No,
but what I'm saying is, put a time
I was
limit.
just confused by the language you used.
Well,
You said compelling evidence that they've identified an
So
alternative.
in 12 months, they come back and they say,
They
we
have it,
found
they
another
have it."
location, it's gonna be 6 months of permitting, we need the next 12 months, but we're on our way, we found a location. If they come back in 12 months and say, yeah, the town passed a new bylaw and it's okay for us to go locate at Wareham Crossing now, they opened up
Yeah, I got you.
Wareham Crossing to us, and there's plenty of space for us to rent. But, we don't want to go there, the rent's too high. Well, then we can say, then the hell with you, we ain't giving you your parking lot for another 12 months.
We'll just deal with people parking
Well,
down Main Street.
I mean, is that clear? And I mean, it might,
I see what you're saying.
see what
I just don't know
So,
that it's,
I'm, enough of that.
well,
Okay, that's enough. You also have an option. You probably could identify a parcel somewhere on 28, maybe in the middle of nowhere, and try for a variance. Hopefully you have no opposition, it might fly. That could be done within 3 weeks.
The zoning regulations specifically,
They put in, that's part of my concern
How
here.
could you, that's Mass General laws, you cannot restrict the variance. Of course you could do a variance, even if you.
it would never, how would you qualify for a variance? Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I mean, if it makes these people happy and where they going, it makes them
The
happy.
shape and topography and
13,
appeal.
Well, of course, it'll be upheld, I mean, it'll be turned down in court, but, anyway, so let's hope
Well-
from in October, Ken will promise us to put it in the warrant. Should they identify a parcel and come, so you could put this parcel in the warrant?
that'd be spot zoning. I think what
Well,
we
you
do
did
is
on-
we figure,
That's what you did on Tremont, Neil.
so we'll do the same thing if they find a good site.
I mean, what do you mean spot, he did it, town just did it on Tremont, Neil. So why not doing it same with these people? You put it on the warrant, let the people vote, let them decide.
I think that's what we have to do, is have a public meeting on this and
Yeah.
have people come in, and not just from this neighborhood, but also the other neighborhoods where these uses are.
Well,
Be
I would
looking-
say they should identify a parcel, the best location in that stretch where Sudded and Robertson is. Identify a location, we have a hearing, if maybe those, the people here tonight could come and say, that's a great idea, that helps a lot. And hopefully where it's going, we don't have opposition, there's no neighbors, so it might be a win-win situation for everyone, and it goes on the warrant, and everybody's happy.
If we should be so lucky.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I submit,
If you work it, you'll be lucky. If it makes, if these people come here, say, we're all happy with this, we'll have the meeting, publicized, they all come, say, we're all for it, and you are on 28, nobody's there to say, we're not for it, why not?
well, 28 is a location, but I submit that there's absolutely nothing wrong with changing the bylaw, that they could be certainly in one of the plazas in town, Cranberry Plaza, Wareham Crossing, where Walmart.
but.
Business brings business. If they've got 400 cars a day that they're dragging to a strip, a mall, an outdoor plaza, I mean, you go there, you buy the stuff that makes you hungry, you go next door, you get a hamburger.
Guys,
I mean, that's-
respectfully, I think we're getting a little bit beyond
No,
the
I'm not
scope of
getting,
what we
no, I'm
have
not,
to
I'm on
So-
target. I'm 100% on target.
No.
I don't see a thing wrong with it being in a plaza.
Right.
Well, we're talking hypotheticals here about planning, is my
Okay,
point.
if,
I do want to say that I am not in a butter to an abutter, but I do live in the neighborhood, and I would prefer this as a solution to having no current solution. I agree with what has been said with respect to the porta potty. I personally would not want any fencing around the parking lot. I think it makes it look like kind of ghetto, low rent, if you will, and, as if there,
City-like.
as if there is a
You
problem.
okay with the gate, Jen?
I don't see the need for a gate. I mean, any property that is, you don't put gates, where else in town are there gates around properties?
You're right.
Right down the one
We
down
could
Main
have
Street
just
that
tow
looks
sign.
super ghetto and
They could
low
do a
rent.
towing company.
So that's just my opinion as someone in the neighborhood.
Jake?
Nothing at this time.
All right, let's work on these things we talked about. And the next meeting will be April, I think, 10. So you will not be notified again. Just show up if you wish on April 10. And we'll see what they come up with, modification for the plans. And hopefully you guys have different thoughts, different ideas. But like I said, this is a temporary matter. And
6:30?
yes,
Yes, always
6:30. And it'll be good to work all together to help them move somewhere else.
Same bat time, same bat place, you know? I want to say that my observation is that Verilife does have appeared to operate responsibly and in the interest of the public safety and health.
They do.
That's my observation.
They do.
You know, take
All right.
a motion to close the public hearing?
No,
No,
we're
we're
not
not
closing.
closing. Continue the public hearing?
Continue. We want to make a motion to continue.
That was your motion?
So moved.
Do you want full
Seconded.
size ones, too?
All right, we have a motion to continue. Can you, could you pay attention, please? We have a motion by Jen to continue till April 10, second by Jim. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, oppose, abstain. All right, we'll see you April 10. What's the name of it? Very Life?
Farm mechanics.
I know, Very Life.
My part.
Yes, sir.
My part.
Sir? Yes, sir.
All right, the staff report, the thing we signed, that's the thing we signed.
Well,
Yeah, that's the thing you signed.
All right, well,
but
you collect them?
the they,
Yeah, we did.
the they that it's.
They're all set.
You keeping
Any,
this?
any correspondence? Excuse me. Hello, we're still in a public hearing,
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
sir.
Take-
Sir,
Okay. Point taken.
Give him a
I
minute to
point
get the
taken.
hell out of the room.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. He's-
I would
he's
suggest
right now that I
I
think
check in with Chief Walczek about the detail and what he recommends,
The police?
the police chief. And check in
What
with
do I
the
say? Let him get it off
Board
their
of Health
chest.
on the porta potties.
All right. All right, guys, want to take it outside, Bill, so we could finish our thing?
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
You have to go home, but you can't stay here. You heard that before?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
See you later.
Good night.
Jake, Ken suggested that we're running by the Board of Health, if we are to agree with them, how many porta-john we have to use, and by the police chief, how does he feel about 2 police officers all the time? Okay, we all in agreement with this to check on it?
Sure.
I gotta say, the porta potties, I thought was, maybe the word is magnanimous on the part of it. Having run establishments where there's restrooms available to the public and knowing how the public abuses restrooms, you know, anybody that's gonna handle their own 400 or 500 or 600 people a day with bathroom facilities, they're being responsible. I mean,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you don't
that-
put the porta potties up,
Yes, until next week. and
well,
then-
the
Keep
ugly,
it on you- with you.
I wouldn't want the
I wanna
porta
keep it on the
potty
agenda.
there.
She will move it.
Okay.
She'll move it, you think? I'll keep
It'll be in the file. It'll be in the file.
yeah, I heard a few people, I heard a few people going to Canada if Trump got elected too, but neither, that didn't happen either, so.
I would agree. I wouldn't want a porta, I don't want a porta john.
Come on, it's Wareham, it's supposed to be nice down there.
Oh, I get it.
It's supposed to be nice down there. It is. We made it nice and now we're ruining it.
They get appealed, the one on Burgess Point?
All right, we
It
have
was town of
anything else?
We haven't, have we closed this?
We're.
Yeah, all right, any correspondence, anything would like you guys to talk about? Can be about a case. Anything else?
We're there with our knees.
Anything but a case. You guys signed the discrimination thing?
So you mean you want me to ask you how you doing and how
Yeah,
the
you
weather
can
is?
say how you doing.
All right.
All right. You guys signed all the harassment? You
Yes,
promise,
sir.
Jen,
Yes,
you're
sir.
not gonna harass me?
Yes, I got
Don't put me on, I'm on the record. Of course, I
The
promise.
town of Wareham has instructions and policies on how you will harass.
We're on the record. We're on air.
All right, guys. All right, let's make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Thanks, Bob.
He is.
You know, one of the things you want to